Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Institute of Product Leadership. Today's webinar is on building customer-centric products, and our industry executive speaker for today is Mr. Vamsi Krishna, who's the ex-VP of Products and Customer Experience at Rentomojo. A little bit about the speaker for today. Vamsi is an entrepreneurial product management professional who specializes in product management and strategy, product marketing, and IT strategy consulting. He's worked on enterprise, mobile, web products for different marketplaces, consumer internet, payments, SCM, logistics, and fintech industries. Vamsi has worked with Fortune MNCs like Experian, Fidelity, and high-growth startups like Rentomojo, Lazada Group, Inferatex across different geographies, including India, Europe, UK, Singapore, and Southeast Asia. Vamsi has been responsible for launching 8 to 50 plus multi-million dollar products across the B2B and B2C domain and successfully in more than 20 markets. Vamsi has built high-value products. Being on the board of Rentomojo, he was a key enabler to be part of the Google Launchpad Accelerator for 2016, and he also was a key contributor to close on Series A and B rounds with the investors. Before we go into the webinar, a little bit about the Institute. We are the Institute of Product Leadership. We are a global business school for technology and product innovators. On offer are programs like the Executive MBA program, which is an 18-month university accredited program that we offer in India, the ICPM, which is an online bootcamp program for aspiring product managers. We also have workshops, which are 3-day workshops. We have worked with more than 220 corporate clients, including a number of Fortune 500 companies, an alumni base of 1,600 plus, and that reminds me that Vamsi is also an alum and is extremely proud of his achievement. Ways to connect with the Institute. One of the ways is go to LinkedIn and type Product Leaders Consortium. I repeat, Product Leaders Consortium on the LinkedIn search window. Join the group, engage, share, and learn about product management and leadership. You can also type in your questions for the speaker on the chat window of GoToWebinar. Tweet away at Prod Leader, that is at Prod Leader, hashtag Prod Events. One of the lucky winners for today is going to be handed over the book called Delivering Happiness, because Vamsi's talk today is going to be basically focused on the e-commerce domain. So this is befitting that the winner for today who asked a befitting question to Vamsi is going to get this book, Delivering Happiness, as a prize. Now, without further delay, I'm going to hand it over to Vamsi to enthrall us with his experience in the product and customer space.
Thanks a lot, Maria, for that. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So thanks a lot, all the folks who've joined for this webinar. Thanks a lot for your time. I know a couple of folks who've joined from US, UK. It's quite interesting of an audience, precisely from multiple continents and multiple geographies. I'm quite intrigued with the kind of interest that was shown by a lot of participants. I can see the audience coming from, big McKinsey's, Big Fours. I can see a lot of product managers, product owners, senior folks from technological field, data scientists, data heads. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone, for this webinar. So precisely the motto behind, or the thought process behind this discussion is that what are the different ways, or what are those steps, what are the measurements that we should always think about enhancing our products for the consumers, or enhancing their experience having products as enabler. So at any point in time, especially this is for Madhurima, please let me know if I'm not audible, or at any point in time there is some sort of a problem with the network, right?
You're
So
audible.
so
Please start the presentation mode. Uh,
okay. So can you guys see my screen now?
yeah, slideshow you can just. Yeah, we are fine, Vamsi.
How about now?
Yeah, fine.
Great. So that's precisely what we are trying to look into from the customer experience side. A lot of people have this intuition till recent days, or also in a lot of industries, that consumer or customer experience is more about a call center. It's only about chats. It's only about sending and getting emails. It's way beyond that. If you look into any sort of an industry per se, if it is an e-commerce industry from the tech perspective where we are building multiple products, each and every touch point from the time a consumer is kind of a visitor, where they come onto the web or to the app, they get converted into users, and then they get converted into consumers or the customers. From that time, how their whole behavioral patterns are getting onto the to the apps or to the website, taking them forward towards acquiring them by getting them as a paid customers for any sort of a service or on e-commerce, if, for example, so Flipkart or Amazon or Lazada. It's most importantly there, the most important fact is that how are you getting your consumers or customers converted. Post that, the whole logistical capability, the back end service, the whole track and trace becomes the most important touch point, right? So before I start on this webinar, I would love to let you guys know that most important focus here was on building the whole consumer experience with the products, and most importantly, I have not brought anything significantly from the theoretical perspective. I have made it pretty much, what I have experienced out of this decade, from multiple industries and multiple geographies that I've worked so far. So let's go ahead. um, so that's the agenda. So first we will discuss what are the key pillars for building any sort of a consumer experience products, and then we would talk about what are the different user segmentations that I have built in my past experience with my past organizations, and how those products and themes have to be focused constantly. Before I end the webinar, I would love to share some of the cheat sheet or some of the paradigms that I always follow from my work, and also with my colleagues that I worked, which resulted pretty good for me. And then finally, I would love to throw kind of a case to you folks. Whoever is interested, they can come back working on the particular case. I would be more than happy to review that along with my peers, Maria over here. Uh, I can give my slots to you people on for one-on-one or group discussions for certain dates, and you can come back and we can validate that case, how it would be helpful for all of us. So let's start. What are the four pillars of consumer products? So think for a minute. What do you think about the four pillars, or maybe some 5 to 10 seconds? That would be great. And let's go. So before we jump on to what are those pillars, the most important thing that we should always look into is the consumer journey. If you're a B2B company, like your product guy from Fresh Desk, where you're serving or where you're building the product capability or capacity for your on enterprise consumers or startup consumers, you should always think about what are those touch points of the customers that you are able to build a product as a capability for your SaaS product. Vis-a-vis, if you're a product manager working with an e-commerce company, it can be Rakuten, it can be Lazada, it can be Ali, it can be, uh, you know, uh, it can be Amazon or any e-commerce company. You should always think about what are those initial touch points that you would love to validate all the time and then constantly build across. So NPS is one of the industry industry prima facie measurement that across the globe, taking from investors, taking from reviews, taking from consumers, they would really vouch on. So always focus on those customer journeys, right? So whether it can be, let's take an example of DBS as a bank, right? So DBS is a very popular Singapore-based bank, big Singapore-based retail bank, where they want to look into the customer touch points of a customer who walks into the branch, and they want to take the feedback versus they want to make a call, and wherever a consumer makes a call to the call center and they want to take the feedback, versus the behavioral impressions of a retail customer who logs on to the website. They have fulfilled this transaction, a financial transaction, and they want to take a feedback, versus any sort of whether it can be an app or a mobile site or an app, or a website, right? So how the consumer behavior is coming up, how to, and this can be universal paradigm, universal use cases. One of the use cases that we can think about is, hey, once you walked into the branch of DBS in Singapore, opened an account. While opening an account, what are those basic documents that were given, and any sort of changes that were required once he has opened the account and walked off from the bank. And then multiple touch points, like, hey, once he has moved from one city, or sorry, one address within Singapore to another address, or is there any sort of an issue where Vamsi is not able to do any transactions, a global transaction or a Swift transfer, so on and so forth. Anything can be a customer touch point, right? So focus that particular touch point from the consumer journey perspective. Also, while identifying the consumer touch point, look into the experience measure, right? So this is a little bit of survey or data that I wanted to do some sort of a search before I get into the nuances. If you look into this, McKinsey primarily talks about the top 10 paradigms. One is transparency, so fees and prices from the banking perspective, how the communication for the consumer is gonna be. These are multiple survey parameters, right? Keeping the track of the status account, whether the consumer is happy or not. It can be from NPS or CSAT perspective, all these parameters. What are those different products and services that they were more happy, right? Whether a user is of a debit card customer or a credit card customer or a mobile customer, or most importantly, how to navigate the whole account opening process, and any sort of paperwork that has to be resubmitted online. Nowadays, we have these cozy banks that are getting on digitally, right? So there are some unique banks from in UK. There is this Starling, there is Monzo, and in India we are getting a lot of licenses of the banks which are getting digitalized. So whether it is a consumer focused bank on a retail perspective, or also an app based bank, lot of parameters that's what we need to identify. And when McKinsey did some sort of a survey with some 15-20 banks across UK and Singapore, a little bit of Oceania as well, they found out that these are the main parameters that they wanted to focus on. So it is more, what it is talking about is the consumer or the customer touch points. Next comes, okay, we have operationally built consumer consumer-centric processes. We have a lot of customer care units. We have a lot of retail segments. But what is the next big thing that we would be able to look into? Always technology, product. Technology, product is always built by technology, right? But at the end of it, they can be a chatbot, they can be a consumer agent who is able to provide the service to the customer. But end of it, everything has to be product enabled. Right. So if we can think about precisely, building product for measuring consumer experience is extremely important. What is the most important thing from the performance versus, importance? Let me give a quick example what I've done, right? So a couple of years back, I was heading the product with Lazada, right? So Lazada, where we wanted to build a network intelligence product where we don't have to. I mean, Lazada has the key strength of Lazada is its operational capabilities. It has its own warehouses across like 7 different countries in Southeast Asia. But each and every country has like 4, 5 3PLs. When we call about 3PL, there are these third-party logistics. Okay, so these 3PLs are quite integrated with our APIs. However, when the consumers come back to us, they used to reach out to us via calls, via email, via chats. So what we wanted to do at that point in time was we wanted to build a network intelligence based on multiple parameters, whether it is from the performance based or whether it is from the high priority of a particular feature that we wanted to build. There we have decided that, hey, we should be able to give some sort of a ranking for the performance key enablers, something like an API is a performance based and importance based is for a use case of a cross-border customer where a mother from Cebu in Philippines had to place an order that is coming from the vendor based out of Shenzhen in China, and it used to take 15-20 days. So what is the most important or imperative over there? Because there would be multiple legs of the transportation. It has to come to customs from China to Hong Kong, from Hong Kong to Philippines, Manila, it has to come, and then the product has to reach out the mother warehouse and it has to reach out to the end consumer from the last mile perspective. So always building from the performance versus from versus the importance of the feature is kind of an imperative. You can also relate it to banking sector, you can relate it to healthcare sector, you can relate it to consumer leasing, consumer lending, so on and so forth. Net promoter score. So this is extremely important. Now, whether a user is just a visitor or a user has come till the payment checkout page and they have just turned off, or the user has come all the way to buy a couple of products, but the delay happened during the delivery from Flipkart or from Amazon to the user by 3-4 days. During the delivery paradigm, what is the most important touch point? Or it can also be like, okay, we have delivered, everything is done. How was the overall consumer experience? So I'm just trying to showcase some sort of a graph over here. If you look into this graph, net promoter score is typically a conglomerate or a function of the number of detractors who are like not happy with the kind of service that we have provided. And another parameter is the number of promoters who are quite happy. And the third most important parameters are the number of passives or the number of neutral people who are, they are come see come, so they're not very happy. Neither they are not very sad with the kind of experience that Flipkart or Rentomojo or your company would have provided. So that's where the whole NPS factor would come into picture as a function, but it definitely relies on the number of responses that is coming from. Let me give you a very quick case study before we jump into another paradigm. So we were building a lot of products and a lot of processes at Rentomojo. Okay, so initially when I joined Rentomojo somewhere around June or July, our NPS, the net promoter score, used to be somewhere around 8 or 11. So we felt like when we talk to our consumers or the customers over phone, they're quite happy. But when we are looking out for responses, why are we getting a very bad NPS score? So then when we dig deep into the data, the first key parameter that we identified was, hey, we are sending only 2 touch points in order to get any sort of a response from the consumers. One touch point was during the order placement, the second touch point was during the delivery. Now, if you look into it, because of the business dynamics, those days we used to get around 25 to 30 orders. So we used to send this survey to 25 to 30 customers. When we sent it to 25 to 30 customers, the response was coming only from 2 or 3 customers. So across the markets or industries, 8 to 12% is what normally, the response rate, digital response rate from the consumers. When we look into 8 to 10% from the industry benchmark perspective, it is great. But at the same time, it was not really great. Most importantly, when you are getting only 2 or 3 out of those 25 consumers. So then we realize that let's start reaching out to these consumers via phone. Let's talk to them. Let's go and meet them. Let's get a hook out of what is happening. Why are we not getting good amount of responses? So when we started creating a small team, which is operational team, in order to get the information, we used to get connection percentage of around 75 to 80%. That means even if you think about 30 consumers per day, where we used to get the response, so 70% of it is 21. So 21 people respond, giving the responses. Automatically, our NPS score has increased. I mean, thankfully, because we were able to thanks to our operational team, they were able to do great job by doing the right time deliveries. Thanks to our technological team, where the payment or payment values were very, very less at that point in time. So out of 21, there used to be some 3 detractors, which used to be like or out of 30, you can think about, there were 3 detractors, which used to be like 10%. There used to be 80 or 18 promoters, which used to be like 60%, and the rest were passives. So the score used to be like 60. Passives always goes on an offline mode, so it's 60 minus 10. That used to be like 50. So all of a sudden, 8 to 50 or 8 to 45 was the net promoter score jump. How we were able to achieve was we were able to identify more touch points via operationally, and then we have diversified, not just taking the feedback only at 2 touch points, which was one at earlier it was only one at order delivery and the second one as order placement. Later we started realizing, okay, at the checkout page drop off, we used to get 1 touch point. Before we do the delivery, we used to have another touch point. During delivery, we used to have another touch point. Post delivery, we used to have another touch point. And when you look into Rentomojo or our business model, compared to any sort of a e-commerce or any sort of an online e-commerce company, Rentomojo, the actual customer engagement starts once the delivery of the products was done, mainly because our average order tenure was or is around 13 months. So 13 months these customers were with us. So we increased our touch points. Another touch point was, okay, every monthly payments, how was the experience with our payment product? Now, around 15 to 20% of the customers used to come back to us in this 13-month period, that there used to be some sort of a service for the repair, service for movement of address from one place to another place. There used to be a lot of churn, mainly because these customers used to place an order for 24 months, but they used to drop off around 12 months, and because of various reasons, they want to move to abroad, they're moving their job, they are planning of getting married, so they want to get settled, so on and so forth. So we increased to 8 to 9 touch points. So touch point is extremely important. So that with the touch points, your responses should increase, and accordingly, your passive, promoters, detractors information should come in. So if you look into it, normally, NPS is always at a scale of 1 to 10. And it can be CSAT is also at a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. So 1 to 7 are 1 to 6 are primarily detractors, 7 and 8 are primarily passives, and 9 and 10 are promoters. So that's how we normally calculate net promoter score. So if you are able to capture all those 4 net promoter segments, it would be great. So some of the key parameters how you would be able to look into the touch points is like, if you look into CSAT, which is very close to net promoter score, the customer satisfaction score, think about Mitra, right? If anyone is touch point, experience, their mobile chat experience, their app experience, their product taxonomy, how many what is the range of products that they're able to get, how is the overall experience at checkout, so on and so forth. The same way post order, it can be delivery slot time, it can be at the time of delivery or return experience, so on and so forth. So if you look into it, what are the number of respondents to the percentage to the NPS score, map to the promoter, detractor, neutral, you should be able to get it. This is just a framework. I will share these slides with all you people. You can also look into it. Some of the quick tools that you can look from NPS is SurveyMonkey, Delighted, so on and so forth. But the best tool is always to build an internal tool, because your DB, your SQL, your data science team, your data analytics department would be able to churn this data into the futuristic perspective. You don't have to rely on any of these tools. This is the best, but if you are in somewhere around Series B, or post Series A, it's great to build your own internal tool, but due to multiple priorities of the business dynamics, during seed stage or during Series A stage, you can also look into these sort of tools, right? So quickly, if we look into it, these are the 4 pillars. So try to focus on the end-to-end journey. Once you figure out the end-to-end journey, think about what are those touch points in these journeys, and each and every touch point, how I would be able to build my product roadmap, how I would be able to build the product features. The moment I build the product features vis-a-vis the operational capabilities, how am I able to capture and validate the NPS? This is the most important thing for building any sort of a product. It can be a digital product for retail banking service. It can be, your crypto exchange, which is quite famous these days, in order to onboard your customers. It can also be your if you're building a chatbot platform, something, or chatbot service or delivery service like Dunzo. Anything that you're able to build, always talk to customers, right? So this is kind of a thought process, how consumers would be measured, how multiple parameters, what is the structure that we can think about. But this is not the only one, right? So you can also measure multiple ways, but this is one of the approaches that I really followed. It really helped me. Now you know that there are multiple, you have built the whole framework, but how do you do your user segmentation? Multiple ways, multiple methods that you can do your user segmentation: pre-analysis, post-analysis, pre-building your digital products or post-building your digital products. Or you would be able to take Google Analytics as a service for the cohort of those customers, or you want to do analytics based on user segmentation or user level segmentation. You have multiple tools like Mixpanel. You have tools like Mixpanel, I told you, CleverTap. So they can go to the user level, but on a cohort level, you have Google Analytics, Omniture, so on and so forth. But working with marketing team, working with growth marketing team is also an imperative for all the product guys. And one of the things that me working with my growth marketing head or more growth marketing teams is what we have built recently at Rentomojo, right? So before giving a quick brief about this particular slide, let me talk about the kind of target group that Rentomojo that we are looking at. So Rentomojo focuses on, so Rentomojo solves the problem mainly for the urban middle. 23 to 35-year-old person, you are a guy who's hopping on, hopping off the jobs and moving from one city to another city. You have to invest a lot of time and money in order to purchase your furniture, your appliances, your daily commute. So you have to think about lifestyle. So what Rentomojo started focusing on compared to other competitors is we wanted to solve the lifestyle problem. Without investing or without buying the products, you should be able to own those products by or through subscription. So the way Netflix disrupted the whole digital economy or the media or the content-based media, that's how we wanted to disrupt the whole retail economy, right? But we wanted to focus on the lifestyle perspective. Now, if you look into it, what are the necessary needs for our target group? Our target group is somewhere around the four quadrant that we have built were young, free-spirited groups. We have built kind of a segment or a quadrant for independent people or who are, in a live-in relationship, not yet married. At the same time, job hoppers who are moving from one city to another city. They want fast resolutions. And those are those people who are settled, which is not a great persona for us. But at the same time, there are multiple segmented customers who wanted to try for 6 months in a particular city who are still settled, but then they want to, go for buying something else. So if you look into it, there's a lot of research that has gone through this. We have not just brainstormed and came over here. We have done primary research, we have done secondary research. When I talk about primary research, we spoke to a lot of customers, lot of we walked into streets, we visited a lot of college, lot of uh, ID parks. We spoke to a lot of our friends, our families. Talking to family and friends is not a great thing in order to validate your product, but to understand the problems, we spoke to them. So we also spoke to multiple people who are working class. So we segmented these sort of people, and then we started doing a lot of secondary research. We paid services to Harvard Business Review. We paid services to Inside. We looked into Gartner, Forrester, Business Source Complete, and then we have designed multiple solutions. And out of those solutions, one of the best things that we wanted to prepare a format was this. Hey, you are a young, free-spirited person, individual, 20 to 23, 25-year-old person, just passed out of college, free-spirited. You wanna look out for deals. You wanna do a lot of savings. You're a party goer, or you are an independent person. Living with your partner, and not partner by marriage, but you're in the living relationship. You are a little mature. You're looking from the comfort perspective, but cost is looking secondary for you. Versus you're a job hopper, which is most important for you is you want solutions very fast because you're moving from your job from one job to another, one location to another location. Um, your primer focus is on comfort basis, so on and so forth. And also you are a settled person, you're just married, but you wanted to buy a very lavish, or buy very lavish furniture, very lavish apartment, but then you wanted to initially save 6 months to 1 year, and then you want to go ahead by buying an apartment and getting settled down. So thinking about these perspectives, we have built these cohorts. Now if you look into it, this sort of a data, whether you are trying to focus initially in order to enhance the consumer experience for building any sort of an app or a web product, or you want to get sort of the behavioral impressions, this sort of a cohort would work very well with tools like Google Analytics or Omniture. But the problem with Google Analytics or Omniture is, if you want to enhance their experience, you are getting from the cohort perspective, but you are not getting down to those users. For example, Vamsi falls under 28 to 34-year-old guy who's moved to India to join Rentomojo, but at the same time, he is not actually settled. But he wants to try some new furniture because he has to rent an apartment, so on and so forth. That information you would not be able to get from Google Analytics and Omniture mostly. I think they are coming up with new features now. But how to go to user level, how to go to Vamsi's level, how to go to a personalized or personalization level, that particular experience that you want to provide, if you want to provide as a Myntra product manager, or as a Starling Bank's product manager, how you would be able to do it, you should go to user level. Now you should go to user level. What is the kind of user persona? Okay, who are you? Okay, a young smart professional who works with Swiggy as a product manager. You move to Bangalore, and what you would like to do, you would like to rent a house, you would like to buy furniture, but you are also not aware of Rentomojo or other peer kind of products where you can subscribe and utilize our services, right? So what is your problem? So your problem basically is, hey, I have to pay EMIs every month if I look into furniture. So then you can think about, okay, you're a geeky Girish, but you can think about various value propositions that are in the market. So if Rentomojo or if a digital product or an e-commerce company or a fintech company wants to focus on this sort of a customer, it's better to look into user level segmentation always and build the products. Now, you also have multiple tools like Mixpanel, CleverTap, as I was talking about user segmentation. But CX for building consumer experience always focus from the user level segment and not, I mean, you can also build from cohort perspective. It is great for B2B or SaaS products, but if it is B2C, focus from the user level. If it is B2B, focus on the cohort level, right? So how consumer centric is your product? Now, if you look into this, I'm not sure how clear this particular image that you can see is. This framework actually came after 7 to 8 days of day and night work that we thought of building the whole product process, actually a process which we have made it productized later, but at the same time we wanted to look into the product where it has multiple touch points. So if you look into this is the whole consumer experience of Rentomojo. As I was talking about Rentomojo, it's an online rental company where you can draw a parallel from the product tech perspective with respect to CX till delivery. But at the same time, we have a facet or a feature of validating the consumer's key authenticity, mainly because if you think about Rentomojo, we are deploying a 50,000 rupees worth television for around 750 rupees per month. So if I'm giving 750 rupees per month a product, it's very important for me or very important for Rentomojo in order to assess the capability of that particular consumer. That there, the KYC would come into picture as a perspective. After that, once again, if you can look into it, it's all about delivery related, right? So if you look into the stage wise, we have done from the column wise, we have done a research discovery, we have done a lot of comparison of all the sites, and then a consumer would come after comparing, they come to Rentomojo, they would add the products to our checkout. After checkout, they should be having a leverage of giving a great consumer experience in order to upload their KYC documents. Unlike earlier, a lot of companies used to ask the consumers to send emails, but then we wanted to build that capability. We have built that capability on product where you can just upload your documents. We have increased the size capability from 3 MB to 30, in fact 30 MB plus for a lot of documents. How well the consumer experience is able to build, and it used to be like 7 or 8 days for each consumer to provide a feedback whether they are able to get a get a get the loan sanctioned, or it's not loan actually for us, whether their products would be delivered, whether KYC is completed successfully or not. All these parameters have to get into a product feature, and then once it is done, how the whole experience is going for the customer during the delivery, how the schedule of the delivery is happening, and during the delivery, what is the track and trace, where is the scheduling, how is the reverse pickup, how is the end of tenure is coming done. And we also wanted to think from the consumer perspective, what the consumer would be doing during the whole process from research to pickup or research to delivery, what the consumer would be thinking during the research discovery comparison process, like they are thinking about EMI, or they want to buy, they want to rent, what they would be thinking, versus once they have kind of moved towards purchase of the particular product, what are they thinking, whether they want to pay upfront, whether they want to go to COD, versus during delivery where they have paid everything, where they have provided all the KYC documents, are they thinking about track and trace are they thinking about changing the order, changing the reschedule of the delivery, and each and every step, how are they feeling with the products that we have built? They're apprehensive with renting, they are frustrated with the KYC procedure. In fact, KYC was a lot of pain, when it comes to a lot of consumers to digest, mainly because they think, as I was talking about the same scenario, they think that online it's just an online rental, but we are an asset risk management company, and how well we have to provide this information to the consumers, whether they are angry during delivery. All these touch points has to come towards, thinking, feeling, and doing, right? So this is the thought process how we have built, and where we have spoken to a lot of consumers, and we have built our features. So that's where we stood, and then we have built a very proprietary consumer engagement platform, which has a very strong credit analytics product, which comes as a KYC, and we have built a delivery product, because of which the KYC reduced from 7 to 8 days to 1 to 2 days, and the delivery reduced from 3 to 4 days to another 1 day, or within 24 hours as well, from the time of order placement. This is kind of a framework we really loved, and a lot of reiterations have happened from the framework and from the product perspective as well. But this is just to give you some sort of a thought process how evolutions can happen, iterations can happen for the product. So always when we think, okay, we have built a framework, we have thought about what are the 4 pillars that you want to look into it. But then when you look into the tactical side, focus on the consumer delight perspective. Now, when we talk about consumer delight, it can be product, or the product can take all sorts of feed that is coming from Twitter, Facebook, Google reviews, so on and so forth, where you want to look into Facebook, your calls, your emails, your Google reviews, your promoters, your tweeters, how your delight patterns are coming in, what are the multiple channels that you're coming, where are you able to get this feedback is extremely important, and feed this information into your database and build that consumer delight product. So I'll give you a very quick example with consumer delight. If you look into this particular slide, you can see a lot of testimonials that are coming in with, right? So it is extremely operational. We had leveraged a lot of things from our customer experience teams and social folks who were constantly talking to the customers on chats and on FB, on Twitter. But all this data has to pour into your internal tool. So we were using Freshdesk as a tool. It's a great product tool, but at the same time, focus on delight, focus on what are those measures that I'm able to get from the delight perspective, reach out to these customers. Operationally, you can give some gifts, which is okay, but this enhances your NPS. Your NPS, if it is enhanced better, it goes with a better word of mouth, and social is a resemblance, and social becomes your enabler automatically. Growth levers from product teams. This is very quick. Due to the time interval, I have to rush. I have a hard stop now. Consumer sales capability. Now we think about sales. We mostly think about, hey, a consumer has come onto my website, or they have raised a request, and then we do a pre-sales calling. They are interested, they dropped off, and then the work is done. No. The consumer sales capability should also come from the retention perspective, because there might be a consumer coming on Flipkart and dropped off. Your experience team automatically, maybe some sort of an API calls would go through your network of your telco network, and then automatically the consumer agent would be able to, a call goes from the consumer agent constantly or automatically to the end customers, and then they do the pitch. If they are not happy with the products, then you have to enhance their capability. Or versus, you should also think about, okay, a consumer has placed an order, the delivery is done. Maybe after 3 months, 4 months, you should also touch base with them, whether they are happy or not, and then try to push your products. If from Myntra, new segments of new categories have come in, it can be a shoe category, it can be a clothes category, it can be your I don't know, it can be your accessory category. So the consumer capability should also think about, or sales capability should be thinking about pre-sales to closing the account, once again to retention. Delight is what we have thought. Feedback and NPS is extremely important for your growth lever. If you're an e-commerce company, guys, it's very important to get your feedback from the consumers all the time and give a great experience during delivery. Couple of must-haves: talk to the customers, talk to the customers, talk to the customers. You wanna release a feature, before that you wanna experiment. Okay, release it, go and talk to the customers. Or before releasing it, you're not quite sure, then talk to your existing or wannabe customers. Most importantly, buddy programs are very, very happy, very, very important. I'll give a very quick example. Now, the buddy program, if it is a B2B segment, you can see Intercom, you can see Freshdesk, great examples across the ecosystem, where they would have an account manager for each and every individual, sorry, each and every organization. The same way, you can also have these buddies or not account managers. You can have your buddies specifically for those customers who have provided multiple amount of feedback or multiple sets of data. These are recurring customers. Then have a buddy related to them. A person can give a call. Hey, sir. For example, at Rentomojo, what we did was, after 3 months or 4 months of usage of products, we will have a buddy who would be calling the customer and asking, sir or ma'am or Vamsi. There's no sir and ma'am actually, phonetically speaking. Vamsi, or you can call Krish or Geeky Girish. We know that from past three months you have been our customer. How well we would be able to develop your experience, and what is your feedback? We want to know about it, right? So talk to customers always, and you have to learn from those features. You need to build, you need to measure, you need to build. This is an iterative process. Do not forget any point in time. You forget this build, measure, learn. It is, you don't know. I mean, you can also get lucky many a times. We are not, we are all of us are not Steve Jobs building something, which is unique proposition. The value prop of the feature can be unique, but it is, not kind of an Apple product all the time that we would be able to deliver. So always, even Steve Jobs used to measure, used to learn, right? Once it is being delivered, either pre-delivery, pre-development, do this parameter analysis, post also do this, but always stay tuned with this build, measure, learn paradigm. So quickly, before I wind up, I hope I was able to give some sort of a clarity on what are those 4 pillars that you can think about, and then what is the kind of life cycle user segmentation of the consumers you can start thinking about, and build those things into your product themes. It can be a delight, it can be what is your product theme, is your NPS, you're focusing on NPS. Your product theme is focusing on talking to customers. Your product theme can also be like your social integrations, right? So end of it, most importantly, you should always think about these growth levers, right? So a quick cheat sheet I always think about. This is a quick cheat sheet. You can think about this. You can look into it. Whether you are an app product manager, digital product manager, you are a supply chain product guy, you are the head of consumer experience team, you are working very closely with the growth marketing teams, or you are a growth marketer, you are working very closely with product managers. Think about multiple parameters as a product manager. You should think about designing products, pricing it right. What are those technical issues that you can think about? If you are a person who is looking out in order to look out for a job, I know that there is a huge cohort over here in this webinar who's part of IPL, who would be doing some sort of a job change in the near future by exploring better opportunities. This particular cheat sheet can be helpful. Personally speaking, I follow a methodology called circles, which talks about comprehending the situation, identifying the customer, and then report those customer needs and problems. After reporting the customer needs, you will have 4 to 5 parameters or priorities in order to cut through the prioritization. It can be based on your return on investment, it can be based on your NPS, it can be based on your your collateral or client feedback, and then the problem might has to come up with 4 to 5 different solutions and list out all these 4 to 5 different solutions and evaluate trade-off. Okay, I'm looking out with a feature from the monetization perspective, but not personalization, or I'm looking for the personalization perspective, which is my key success metric, but not monetization. And summarize your recommendation all the time and talk to your peers, talk to your clients. It can be getting a final sign off from your CEO, from your investors, from your clients if it is a B2B company, or from your board members, so on and so forth. So this is how I would always like to look into it. You can also do some research on this. You will be able to find on Circles method. That's it. So there is this case study. This is very self-explanatory. What I would love to have you guys is like think from the consumer-centric perspective. Sorry, there is some sort of a spelling mistake. So you are a product manager from Reliance Retail, where Reliance is looking into 8 different metros, and they are coming up with a subscription model. Till now it is buying selling. They want to come up with subscription model. So if it is a subscription model doesn't end only with buying delivering, right? You should be able to give lot of or provide lot of services and build better experience because of the subscription period. It can be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 9 months, so on and so forth. So come up with your own assumptions. You should be able to build kind of a product strategy based on what is the value proposition of a solution. What are those multiple customer touch points, that the first 4 pillars that we spoke about? What can be your long-term, short-term goals? We did not speak about return on investment because it's a big wing in order to talk. What are the key success metrics? So think about this. We share this presentation with all you folks, and I would also share the kind of dates that I would be available. You can form your own groups, or you can also come up with your individual solutions for this. You should be able to think about a lot of questions and come up with a lot of your own assumptions as well. Come up with 4 or 5 slider solution, 5 to 6 slider, because I'm talking about value proposition, I'm talking about customer touch point, short term, long term, ROI, and success metric. So make it 5 to 6 slider. It would be great. And whoever is interested on this, I'm more than happy to provide some sort of a review on this, and we are more than happy to discuss further on this. So that's about it. So any questions now? I would pass it on to Madhurima. I think I've taken a lot of time.
So first of all, thank you, Vamsi, for that phenomenal talk that you gave on customer centricity. It is in line with our philosophy of learn from the doers, and that was pretty abundantly evident throughout your talk, whether it was about the kind of cheat sheet that you displayed and the kind of customer journey diagram, which you'll never find in a textbook. But you'll find it here from people who are doing these kind of great things, building products that really matter to customers. So thank you very much for doing that for us. I'm sure the entire audience is completely enthralled. I have a couple of questions for you, Vamsi. I'll take a few of them now, and if we have more, we'll send them over to you and get them answered. And the questions will also be available on the LinkedIn group for those who want to pursue them. So the first question is, this is a perennial question that we always get, and that is, what will be the ideal number of customers that we should speak with as part of any kind of inciting, like a customer segmentation or any other job that we need to get done?
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a very common question. I also look into it at the same time. It's very challenging in order to identify. So the most important thing is identify the right number of customers. Sorry, identify the right set of customers. My bad. Identify the right set of customers, and these customers should be able to give you a very qualitative feedback, and the quantification should be your sorry. So the quantification should be your number of questions that are coming up over there, right? So you should it's great to limit your audience from 20 to 30, whether it is going to be a B2B feature or a B2C feature. So let me give an example for B2C, right? So B2C, you are a product guy building a new AI chatbot platform for for one of the fashion category e-commerce apps. So there, you know that most of the fashion related guys, or probably you can draw multiple segments, and you can think about, and this is, imagine this is mainly for the women, right? For the girls or for the women. So then you should be able to think about, okay, taking 25 to 30 or 35 different people, uh, throw 5 to 6 questions max, and these 5 to 6 questions should be both qualitative and quantitative. It can be or it can also be qualitative and quantitative, but your measurement should be quantified, mainly because 25 to 30 responses should give some sort of an idea. And I'm also talking from the literature perspective. If you look into empirical research, they always say 25 to 30 is minimal. Don't go to 10,000, 40,000. Maybe in a year's time you might get a 10,000, you might get 10,000 or 100,000 or 20,000 reviews, 200,000 reviews, which is great. But for a feature, look into the focus point of a particular segment or a particular customer that your particular feature you're building with, and look forward. When you look into B2B, then also B2B follow the same sort of a rule, but 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 different clients, and in each client at least tap those 10 customers. It can be their internal customers of a client organization. For example, if you are a Freshdesk product guy, product manager, so Freshdesk serves the businesses of DBS Bank. They serve the business of startup like Rentomojo. They also go and serve multinationals. I don't know, like it can also be like for Flipkart and Amazon's, right? So, so then you should be thinking about what is the industry Freshdesk is serving, and okay, if it is fintech industry, take those 3 to 4, 5 different clients, and each and every client take another 10 to 15 customers, which would come to around 4 into 10 would be 40, 50 customers, and do your research with the same sort of 5 to 6 questions and get the feedback. Once you get the feedback, do remember that intimate them constantly that, hey, you are building this particular feature, you have built that feature. Before you roll out or you go to the hard live, in your soft live, definitely push these particular features to these customers so that they will give you much better information or much better feedback. Hope that answers the
Sure.
question.
Thanks, Vamsi. That was very useful. I'll take one more question, which says, what should be the features that should be built in the MVP for a B2C website, let's say like Rentomojo? What should be the key metrics to be considered to know the success rate? This is a
Right,
question for the month. Yeah.
right. So MVP is, so we all speak about MVP as a minimum viable product, right? So behind the product building and tech building, there is a purpose. There is a solution that is being addressed for a certain problem. So you should be thinking about that particular problem, and for a certain problem, what are you trying to solve? For example, if you take the case of Rentomojo, when we built our MVP, right? We have initially we wanted to provide a solution which would be just subscription or just a rental for any customer, for anyone who wants to rent it. So at that point in time, our MVP was critically on three features or three use cases. One is how well I'm able to onboard you as a customer. Number two is how the whole payment is happening. Number three is how am I able to do the delivery. During those days, with these three, what are the key success metrics for us? The success metric is how how well am I able to, I mean, how is my pricing feature giving some sort of a conversion rate? That is my success metric. The second success metric was, okay, I am deploying my asset where I am buying for 50,000 bucks, but I am deploying it for 12 months versus 3 months. Which one would be the greatest tenure to deploy? For us, actually, it is 9 months to 12 months is the greatest tenure. So that should be able to give my ROI. The third most important factor for my success metric was whether my operational capability, where I'm sourcing from my vendors, that I'm promising to the customers is 3 to 5 days. My delivery time, my JITs, just-in-time deliveries, are matching at least 95% or 98%. So that's where I used to build my MVP. So in your primary phases for Rentomojo. Now, as we grew, as we reiterated, as we learned from a lot of mistakes, we have built multiple product lines, multiple business units, right? So if you want to think about KYC or the credit risk capability, then once again we have built our own proprietary feature. There there we have built our own platform, our internal platform. Then the MVP is varied. Now here the MVP comes from 3 or 4 different factors. One, what was the problem? The problem was it used to take 4 to 5 days or 5 to 6 days for a customer in order to upload the documents or in order to get their application getting into a successful situation. So for that, what was the problem? Problem A was customers has to send the email, and then internally our emails team used to check. After checking it, once again it passes on to the customer experience CC team. The CC team calls this customer. The customer says, "Hey, I'm busy. Give me a call tomorrow or in the evening." Once again, the CC team follows them back, and the customer uploads back once again. Now, while customer uploads back, it comes back to the email team. Then it goes to the CC team. So it's a lot of reiteration. That's a huge problem. Now, problem number 2 was because of this problem. Number 1, a lot of delay used to happen, and customers used to lose their control, lose their patience, and they used to churn automatically. They used to drop off. They used to say that, "Hey, it's been 6-7 days. We don't want to do it. I have changed my mind. I have already placed an order with a furniture online commerce company. So give my money back, refund my money back." So that's another problem because of the time. The third important problem was NPS. Most of the consumers are giving a lot of bad feedback. It's not bad feedback, it's their genuine feedback, but they're not happy, right? So we had to address these problems. Now, when we wanted to address these problems, we had to deep down from the cohort perspective and from the user segmentation, what I was trying to show you guys some time back, where we have identified that, hey, we should be able to give the access to customers automatically to upload everything, where whenever a customer uploads any document, automatically all the notifications goes to the customers internally, to their emails, to their app notification, and also comes these notifications to our internal credit risk team, where we have built a very uh, uh, I mean, very deployable logic, which is based on artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. Our data science team really worked a lot. So there we wanted to give these notifications to the customers, where they know that it would be a thumbs up if the PAN card is good or not, or a thumbs down. If it's a thumbs up, an Aadhaar card is a valid one or not. How did we do it? We have done API integrations. We have done integrations with multiple third-party softwares. It can be there are multiple third-party softwares in the market, right? Which would be able to give it automatically. So these things have reduced my churn rate. It has reduced the time from 4 to 5 days to In fact, the average KYC verification has fallen down from 4 to 5 days to 18 hours to 24 hours, which enhanced the NPS a lot. So this was my success metric, because of which ROI increases, mainly because my churn is coming down. My success metric increases with NPS. So that's how we've been validating, and that's how our MVP was built. Now,
Great.
MVP, you should always look into one perspective, that you should know who are your users. Our MVP with the credit risk product that I'm talking about was built for two users. One, the internal credit risk or the underwriting agent. The other one was for the end customer. So that's how we are built.
Great, great, Vamsi. Thank you very much. We have more questions and we'll send them over to you. Now for the big winner of today, we have Sudhir Math, who will be getting the book Delivering Happiness, recommended by Vamsi. So congratulations, Sudhir. Your book is on your way. A couple of quick announcements before we close for tonight. Please do log on to our lms.productleadership.com, which has our first e-learning course on product management fundamentals, which is quite popular by people who have gone through the course. Log on to lms.productleadership.com for getting access to this course. Our upcoming webinar is with Sagar Apte, who's the founder of Car IQ, and he is going to talk about, does product management prepare you for a CEO role? The webinar is on January 9th, 2018. Please go ahead and register on our website. Our upcoming workshop starts on January 30th to February 1st, 2018 in Bangalore. For registering for the workshop, please log on to productleadership.com. And once again, we thank you for your attendance today for this webinar. And Vamsi, thank you very much for your great talk on customer centricity. We really appreciate your time, everybody. Good night.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Hope it was helpful. Good night. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.